Lights, camera.
Fraction!
Yeah. All right, subtracting integers. So the trick with this is that we're not actually going to subtract integers. I'm lying to you. We're not going to do it. We're only going to add integers. So let's practice our rules for adding integers. What were our rules for adding integers? First of all, if we have something like 2 plus 3, where they're both positive, what did we do? We just add them together and we keep the sign, right? So add, keep sign. What if we had negative 2 plus negative 3? Again, since we have the same sign, we just say it, yeah. We just say it, or you just say it, we add the numbers, keep the sign. But if we've got 2 plus negative 3, so in these two problems we had the same sign on each number. Now we've got opposite signs. So we don't add, we
get negative 1.
Yeah, we subtract, and we use the sign of the larger number. What if I had negative 2 plus 3? What do I do?
You subtract.
Subtract, so 3 minus 2 is?
3 minus 2 is 1. So
And
you
I
get
keep
positive 1 because we use greater numbers.
Right? So same signs. I keep the sign and I add the numbers together. Different signs, I subtract the numbers. Right? I always subtract the smaller number from the larger number. 3 minus 2 is 1. But then I just use the sign of whichever number is actually bigger. So subtracting integers is going to use these same rules because we're going to turn every subtraction problem into an addition problem. How do you do that? Well, here's how. If I had something like 5 minus 7. 5 minus 7.
Would it be 5 plus 7?
This is the same thing as 5 plus negative 7. So in your notes, I think the best way to write it would be to do one line as 5 minus 7, and then you could do an arrow or you could write same thing as 5 plus negative 7. So any subtraction can be turned into adding a negative number. So that's what I mean when I say we're not really going to subtract. We're going to just remember those same rules that we used for adding, and we're going to apply them. So what would we do here? We have a positive and a negative. So we would...
Minus 12.
Are we going to add 5 and 7?
No.
Why won't we add 5 and 7?
Because 7 has the negative number and we don't that one.
Exactly. So they're opposite signs. If they have opposite signs, we can't add them together. This is positive, this is negative. They're against each other, right? It's like the 5's like, hey, happy day, I'm positive, woohoo! And the 7's like, oh, gloomy, I'm negative 7, right? Positive, negative. They're opposite. They work against each other, so we subtract them. 7 minus 5 is 2. But is the answer positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative, because the larger number was negative. So it's the same thing, but there's this extra step of turning our subtraction into addition. So this works for a lot of different types of problems. What if I had negative 12 minus 17? How can we turn that into an addition problem? We're going to turn the minus into plus a negative. So we're turning our minus into plus a negative. On a quiz, it's really important that you show this step. Right? Okay, are we going to add or subtract these two numbers? Why do we add them?
Because
Both
negative.
are negative. So they have the same sign, we add them together. What is 17 plus 12? 7 plus 2 is 9. 1 plus 1.
29.
So it's 29. But it's not 29.
Negative.
It's negative because they're both negative. So they work together to make a larger negative number. Right? So negative 12 minus 17 is negative 29. It's the same thing as negative 12 plus negative 17.
So basically, all you do is you take those two numbers, pull them apart, and then do an addition sign.
Yeah, in a way, for now. Okay, what if I had this? 22 minus 50. 22 minus 50. What's my first step? To think of it as an addition problem, right?
2 plus negative 50.
22 plus negative 50. Okay, do those two numbers work together or work against each other?
Again.
Yeah, so we subtract. We're going to subtract because they work against each other, right? 50 minus 22. Borrow here. So we've got 28. Is our answer positive or negative?
Negative.
Because the larger number was negative. All right. Now there are times when you won't do this strategy. Like if I had something like 15 minus 12, this number is smaller than this number, so I probably wouldn't think of it as 15 plus negative 12. Because you've been doing problems like this since maybe what, second grade? I don't know. A long time. 15 minus 12 is just what?
15 minus 12 is 3.
Yeah, 15 minus 12 is just 3. Right? So we don't really have to rewrite this as adding a negative. Right? But we would rewrite this one, 37 minus 62. Why?
Because it's a bigger number.
Because this one's bigger. So we're going to do 37 plus negative 62.
So take away.
So we would actually take away it looks like 25,
25, but it's negative
but it's
25.
negative because the larger number is negative. Right? So thinking of it as adding, just it means that we don't have to learn a whole new set of rules for subtracting. Right? We're just thinking about, oh, a positive and a negative. They work against each other. I subtract them and keep the sign of the larger number. What if I had something like this, though? 2 minus negative 59. What do I do there? So the rule so far was you make this plus and then you make this negative, but it's already negative.
So it's gonna be. It's gonna stay negative. No, it's gonna be positive.
Yeah, what would happen? If I had 2 plus, it's like negative 59. What happens? What is a negative? What does that even mean?
Positive.
It is a positive.
So
So the way that I do these, when I see minus a negative,
61.
so minus a negative means add. Minus a negative means add. So it's 2 plus 59, which is 61. So what if I had 5 minus negative 10? It's actually what? Minus a negative means add. So it's 5 plus 10, which is
It's 15.
15. What if I started with a negative? Negative 16 minus negative 27. Whoa, that's a lot of negatives.
It's going to be
First step, the first step we're going to do is turn this into adding. So instead of minus a negative, we say add. But now I still have a negative over here. I've got negative 16 plus 27. Now I have to go back to my addition rules for integers. Do I have the same sign or opposite signs on these two?
Opposite signs. And then it's
So
just gonna be
opposite signs, so I'm
negative.
going to subtract 27 minus 16 is 11. And I keep the sign of
The bigger number, which is 27.
which is 27. So my answer is
Positive 11.
positive. So do you see how this first step is really important? Rewriting, instead of a subtraction, we write it as an addition. Alright. That's good for the video.